Sports View London, boxing news for the capital city with Sauerland promoter Kalle Sauerland. Just had the final press conference for your man George Groves. You spoke of it. Still confident of becoming a world champion. Tell us a little bit about that.
Confident. I'm adamant. I said, we've had a lot of success in the division over the years, going back to the 80s with Mugabe, with Rocky Jani. In the 90s we had Marcus Bayer, Sven Otka, Mikkel Kessler, obviously, Arthur Abraham. So, I think we know a little bit about what we're talking about in terms of developing champions, and George is, someone who is 27 years old. He's been in 3 world title fights. Yes, the second one was a knockout, but up to that stage it was level pegging. Knockouts at big fights can happen at any time, especially in the way that both Froch fights were. He's boxed Carl Froch, who's an excellent fighter, real warrior over many years, and it was, George showed that he was a whisker away, and especially in Vegas now. It was a tough one to take, but at the end of the day there was some tactics in the corner which, in hindsight, you're always clever, aren't you? But we're not moaning and groaning about it. He's 27. Pick up, dust ourselves off, and here we are. There's only a comeback. This is a fight after losing a split decision in Vegas for the world title. So, here we are, and I think George will shine on Saturday. I don't think you're going to see the finished article of what Shane wants to do with him. I mean, anyone who sells that or says that ain't got much clue. I'm not on boxing or any sport, because a team sport, a football fan, I can understand how a trainer can quickly make an adaptation dealing with a set of individuals. But when you talk about an individual sport, not just boxing, any sport, you need time for that trainer, sportsman, athlete, role to combination to blend, and Saturday's all about announcing that we're back in business this year. We're looking to attack again, but also for them to click. Obviously they've done a lot of hours of sparring and pad work and gym work and bag work and getting to know each other, but there's nothing like the real thing, is there?
I saw George, I've followed George since amateur days, but I saw George with a smile on his face in the gym the other day, and I haven't seen George with a smile on his face since the first Carl Froch fight. You've seen
George in the gym longer than I have. No, but he's got a spring in his step, and I felt, I sound like such a clever dick if I say that, but I felt before the fight in Vegas there was something, it just wasn't quite right. But we thought that we'd still have the better of Jack. We really thought, that Jack was the man that we thought was the weakest of the champions as well. Jack was a much improved fighter. He clearly is a good trainer. He's been putting on some good work, and Badu Jack is, certainly a much improved fighter. And I think that was something also that Paddy just, didn't take into account for him. To a certain degree, George as well. Listen, it's not the hunt down Paddy statements here. Simply what it was doesn't work for George. He found that out. I think Adam Booth obviously did a very, very good job with George over many years. And it happens in life, it happens in sport. The two decided to part ways, and I think George was really signed up for the Froch fight. I think Paddy was a ready-made solution because he'd worked with Adam in the past, so he didn't want to bring in someone from the outside. In hindsight, maybe the break should have been done there after that. But the performance was a good one. So was it Adam Booth really who trained for the fight, or was it Paddy? But you don't want to take everything away from Paddy. I think the first fight obviously was good, and the second fight as well. But there was obviously was a bad error on the knockout situation, and it was something that some experts, actually our trainer in Germany, said, the trainer should have read that earlier. It was coming, and he was setting him up for it. Listen, we're always, in sport, it's always, afterwards, wow, I told you, it should have been like that. And let's not be clever about it. It is what it is. We're standing here today, 30th January, Saturday. He's back. New trainer, new year, new luck. And, he's got a team mind, and we believe in him. He's got a lot of fans. You know, he's 27 years old. You know,
I personally think, I'm not sure you agree, that George he doesn't get the rub of the green for me with the fans in the UK. They're very, very critical, and they do forget what George was doing before.
But that will come back. You know, fans. Look, I'm a fan. I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm a fickle fan. You know, we forget and we remember very quickly. You know, and I think those, you know, mustn't forget the fans who booed him in and cheered him out after the first Froch fight. 60-70% at Wembley Stadium who were cheering him on at the Froch fight, maybe even more. You know, and you know, George, he's 27. I keep on saying that because it's, for me, it's like, you know, when people ask, is he going to be world champion? What do you think? If he's 27 years old and he's already at that level, you know, arguably, that first Froch fight, to be honest, if I was to promote him, I wouldn't have put him in against Froch yet. I would have waited. But it was the right move, so I would have been wrong, once again, looking back. If it would have been us in charge at that time, I probably would have given him one or two more fights. You know, I remember speaking to Adam when he was taking a fight. We had a chat about George, and I thought it was too early for George. I was wrong, you know, and that's something in sport you are wrong. You know, if I was always right, I wouldn't be here. I'd be down the bookies, you know. So you know, it's one of them things, and we just take it for what it is.
Regarding getting George back over, fighting in London, loved in London, very highly rated George Groves in these parts, and now to...
And London needs a world champion. I know De Gale's from London, but De Gale's chosen to go to the States, which is fine. What I've heard is on good money. That's for George. Actually had a similar offer before he signed with us. He said, no, I want my UK as my base. You know, De Gale is, in that sense, isn't a London fighter, and you know, London's due one of those sort of middleweight. You know, going back when I grew up in North London, and it was, you know, at the time there were big fights in London, and London. You've got obviously the Joshua fight. You know, he's doing great sort of figurehead for boxing at the moment. We have a lot of talking points. I think there's going to be a lot of great fights around him as well. David Hay, you know, who's come back. You know, I was there a couple of weeks ago. Looked very good. Obviously, full house. So you know, there's an appetite for it, and I think George, you know, in the division can be London's ambassador.
Does that get your foot tapping, Kalle, when you see that Rambo tour and you think, we you know, you've got the relationship for the Sky broadcaster, and one day that...
I mean, you know, look, we work with Sky via Matchroom, of course. We have their exclusive deal. You know, but at the end of the day, we've always said with George, we'll look to make the best path possible, and we'll always sit together as a team and look at it, you know. You know, George loves being on Sky. That's why we sat down with Eddie, made a deal with him and Sky for this fight. It was the right move to make, and we'll always look at it fight by fight and pick what's best for George.
Just finally, can I talk to you about David Price, who's recently announced that they've still got the hunger to return to the ring. Has there been any laid plans between you both to where you can and would like to go?
My brothers had a very good meeting with David. You know, I've always said that David's issue isn't what people, so-called experts, tell us it is. It's not just a chin issue. It's not a chinny fighter as such. He's a fighter who needs to learn to adapt in situations when he's been buzzed, and that will happen in heavyweight. You just saw it with Joshua, got buzzed. You know, you saw it with 10 world title fights in a heavyweight division, which have gone the wrong way because someone's been, you know, knocked out. You know, most famously probably in recent years, sort of recent years. I'm a bit older now, but Foreman against Mora. You know, so it happens. But you learn to adapt. Klitschko, best example. Klitschko, when he was starting out, before he started working with Stewart, he had that problem. He gets caught and he didn't have a game plan. And that's the same with David. If you look at the Tepper fight, forget that Tepper's a doping cheat. The fact that he takes a punch, he's buzzed, but he's not down, he's buzzed, and he doesn't go into holding, and you know, but I don't like to advocate. I'm not a fan of holding, but unfortunately in those situations you need to hold. You need to use your, in David's case, huge physical size, push him off with a jab. You know, like Klitschko, robotic. Hold him, push him, whatever. It's dirty, but you've got to get the job done. You've got to stay in that fight. What David did, if you look at it, he got caught and then started throwing uppercuts almost and hooks and leaving himself open in a situation where, great for the fans, you know, especially if he catches the other guy. You got a Mexican situation almost, but that's not. David's not a Mexican, right? So, you know, you have to look at it. That I think that hasn't been developed in his career. I think Franny's done a great job on David's assets, but it's time to also look at that weakness, and that weakness is that when he's buzzed, he doesn't switch to a plan B. To a Formula One racing driver, they will go through scenario training, which means hit a skid, right? So you're out of control. You have a reaction mode to it. It comes automatically. It's subconscious. It's trained so well. It's in the subconscious. And if you look at good fighters who have that issue when they get buzzed, that they lose sort of focus, and you've seen Klitschko's face, and if you watch Klitschko's reaction now when he gets caught, it's like second nature, and that I see that's what David needs. He needs this crisis management, so to speak, and that sign that I think with that he's got the full skill set to go on and do everything in the sport. And that's not me talking, man. Don't forget, the guy can box. He's a bronze medalist, right? In an Olympics that wasn't held in London, right? He's a bronze medalist, and he can punch as good as anyone as all the punchers in the division. He's up there. He's got a sensational jab. He's got a boxing mind. But that's the weak part. Is simply this crisis management, and it's not that he gets it on the chin and goes down. Listen, the first Thompson fight was a knock to just over the ear. Didn't go anywhere near his chin. The second fight, he took about 40 on the chin, standing in the corner. He gassed. He absolutely gassed. And the other guy, who was out, almost cold, got back up. Later to be found to be also doped, and made a miraculous comeback. At the age of, I don't know how old he was at the time. Which sort of, like I said, you take steroids, you get in a ring, you're walking in that ring with an extra weapon. Not just two fists, and that's something where where we're going to put everything behind, getting those that especially the last fight, of course, get to the bottom of what happened, because it's much deeper than what people know at the moment.
Rightfully so. Just finally on the David Price situation, I believe that David doesn't get the credit. David's a young man. He hasn't been in many wars. He's a fresh fighter.
Yeah.
So to draw a line under the David Price being a world champion is a bit premature.
Absolutely. Like I said, he has the full skill set to go and not only become world champion, but to rule the division. He has the skill set to do it. The size to do it. No doubt about it. And listen. He's, of course, there's boxers like Anthony Joshua, who looks like the prime athlete and whatever, amazing. But if you look at historically down the list of the great heavyweights, they haven't all looked like Adonis, And David is an athlete as well, no less an athlete than an Anthony Joshua, no less an athlete than a Deontay Wilder, no less an athlete than a Tyson Fury. So I think the heavyweight division's really shaken up, and I think David, if he gets that part right, can be a big part of it. If he gets that right, he needs to go and do that, and only David and a right coaching decision can do that. But I think what Tyson Fury did in Germany last year, sensational. Sensational, and with David Hay back in the mix, you've got ingredients where it's just unbelievable. We've got Chisora, who's had a good run out now 3 times in a month. Del Boy, who's also looking to get back in the mix. Del Boy is another one. He needs to get his fitness right. He needs to be active. He needs to do exactly what he hasn't been doing over the last few years. He needs to be doing, and that's getting out there and activity and being regular. It's the reason why I had 3 three bums, 3 tune-ups. We all know that. I don't stand here and tell them it was 3 world-class victories. It's not about that with Del. Del's had the experience against the world-class. He's come off second best. Arguably, of course, the Helenius fight he should have won, but you know, he gave Klitschko a good 12 good rounds. And at the end of the day, it's an exciting division. It's open again. It's what you want to see as a sports fan. It's not Klitschko dominance. You know, you've got these names now. You know, Pulev. He says, "Well, another one to throw in the mix from our end." You know, Kubrat Pulev's another. You know, he's not the most. Let's put it this way: he's not the top of anyone's shopping list as a voluntary opponent. You know, poor old Kubrat. He's got to go the hard way. I'll never forget when we get in the IBF eliminator, we went down. I think we ended up at the number 9. We ended up with Tony Thompson. You know, at short notice, you don't really want Tony Thompson as your final eliminator. We're one of the most awkward fighters on the planet, and you know, Pudov's another one. And it's just the names are coming up. Povetkin, Wilder. You know, Povetkin will beat him. You'll see.
Kalle Sauerland, I thank you for your time, sir. Much appreciated.
Thank you, mate.